Everyone, who has a question? I really, really want to throw this into the audience. Someone needs to have a question. No one? Okay, here we go. Would you mind saying where you're from, your name, and who you'd like to direct your question to? Thank you.
It's a microphone. It's a
No, you
microphone.
speak into the box.
Yeah.
It's a microphone.
It's super cool.
Hello.
Yeah.
I'm Andonis. I'm from Youngship, and I work at Shoham. I want to ask both of these guys, Konstantinos and Tor, how hard was it to, challenge charterers, ship owners to come on board your software and to use your equipment, to use your ideas?
Want to kick off? No, shall I? Okay. Well, for us, because it's a major change in the market, it is quite difficult to deal with the political, in inverted commas, aspects of shifting from the physical world to the digital world. That means that we had to, and we still have, we are still struggling with the same problems, that we get a lot of pushback from many parties in the market. Not all, but a lot. Because up to today, what happened was that we are slow in reaction in our industry. So we are usually taking our time to see how these new technologies, how these new changes would feed into the actual value chain of the market, and how these would grow, and whether they are sustainable or not. So there were, from different stakeholders in the market, resistance, but going forward and proving the value that we are bringing, we received a much warmer, if you like, reception from different stakeholders, that being charters, ship owners, different organizations regulating the market, because we are into contact with a number of those. So it's been difficult and lots of pushback, but we kept pushing, not back ourselves, but trying to go around the problems and find solutions in order to prove what we are bringing to the market. And that's what it counts in the end, I think. To prove that you have a valid value proposition that someone should take into consideration and use your technology, use your software, whatever that is. So that's, if you like, the most important aspect of getting approval from the market stakeholders.
Yeah, it's a very good question. I remember when I was, this was September 2008, and I was sitting together with AP Møller Maersk for 3 months to figure out, is there anything to save by having this service done? And just coincidentally, several of these people who've been involved in, this was writing the master's thesis, met outside the building in Copenhagen before I was going to the airport. And then I said something that I would never say again. And that was, mark my words. In 3 weeks' time, I will be back with a prototype that's mass producible. And then it took 4 years until it happened. So I think it's a very good question, because as what we've seen as entrepreneur, you have to see, you have to visualize something. It's just, I often think about it like a picture. But no one can see the picture. So you have to explain, but there is a river there, there is a mountain, there's a forest, there's a good future there. Can you envision it? And you need banks, you need a ship owner, you need a charter, and you need the regulatories, you need all these stakeholders to work together with you. And therefore, I think what is crucial, and as I answered to Vivek's first question, the important thing is to find the leaders. For us, those were Maersk, and it was Wallenius Wilhelmsen Logistics, and it was ABP in the port. So you need to find those who actually dare to put their job, maybe not their job, but put a lot on stake to say that they believe in you. And like that, it was for 4 years until we were able to show something. So it was a challenge, but I think that the fantastic thing is that you have those idealistic, what I see, in the shipping industry who sees the future and start looking at it now. So it's just about finding them, and at least that makes the road a little bit easier. For example, also, we didn't have money. We didn't have a bank. We actually have a fantastic bank who was with us quite early, but we don't have a lot of equity. None, actually. But then it was very crucial for us that you had these customers who saw that we need to be in compliance today. We need to make the environment a little bit greener today. But we are willing also to pay a little premium on this service because we know this will be good for my organizations in 5 or 10 years and then the future.
Thanks.
Can I ask you a question? How is the pricing model structured?
Yeah, I can't, of course, thank you very much for bringing
You're
up
welcome. You're welcome.
very market-sensitive thing on stage. But it is a good question, a very relevant one. Well, the nice thing about what I find is very interesting in our industry is that when you clean a ship, you save so much more fuel. So you have 10%. So the cost of the service itself will always have a payback of a few weeks. Then you can calculate the rest.
That sounds like a sales pitch.
But compared then to a traditional diving service, you could get that certain places in the world for half price. So then there is a challenge to convince. You need to meet those. We're actually doing a little bit more than just the cash, but they see that they need to be in compliance also. They need to have solutions in 5 and 10 years down the road when you don't have those traditional mechanical solutions as you have
You're
today.
willing to buy the extra product, that added...
You're paying for quality.
Yeah.
And
And sustainability.
Also the steps down the road, because the early adopters are not embarking or are not paying initially what you have in place at the moment. They are paying and are participating for the vision as well.
Yeah.
And that's why before mentioned that you need to have these early adopters that are supporting you, because they are embarking with a vision that they share your vision of where that might end up, and not just for today, what you have ready today. So the value that comes in a 2 or 3 or 5 years time afterwards.
so then it's also then very good and valuable to create a network, right? So
Yeah.
you can build on your current network and possibly create new business experiences, such as Youngship.
Yeah,
For instance.
it is crucial, and Youngship is a very good example that I have experienced with myself. We were honored to receive the Young Entrepreneur Award in 2013. And imagine for us then we didn't have a marketing budget or anything like that. So then it was like a third party that actually put this in the spotlight, that this is an important case. And it's not Eco-Subsea saying it, it's a third party. And I think that that's a responsibility that you have. If you're working in the shipping industry, if you're working in a big company, or if you're working in important legislative powers, you have the opportunity to lift up those technologies that you see will be important for the future and give them actually a stage to be presented on. And I think that was what we got in Youngship. And I think that's what you see here. You see a lot of fantastic young people that can meet people that are experienced and a fantastic diversified industry. So we have all the opportunities. And I think Youngship is a splendid platform to actually meet and build that network.
Good, good. That's what I like to hear. Okay, questions. Let's go with the gentleman first. Oi. There we go.
My name is Derya. I'm coming from Beşiktaş Tankers and Beşiktaş Shipyard, Istanbul, Turkey.
I think you need to speak a bit more
Yeah,
into the
sure.
microphone. There you go, thank you.
I'm coming from Beşiktaş Tankers and Beşiktaş Shipyard, Istanbul, Turkey. I believe I'm the first unique Turk here in Cyprus today. Thor,
Yeah.
are you Norwegian?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
Norwegian.
Hodebrouw. My question is not, let's say, a bit a cyber question or a digital question, but more your equipment that you produced, comparing with the brush guard, the conventional brush guard equipment. What is the difference between the system? You're cleaning on the hull, if I'm not misunderstanding. So you are collecting the residues out and going, laying down to the seabed? What is, this is my first question.
Very good. Shall I just answer that first? It's a very good question. And this is is directly into the way you can think as everybody who's in the industry, right? What is the next? And that was what we asked Maersk. Is there a need for this? And that rose that exact question. But what do you need for the future? Well, there is 3 things you need: efficiency and a robot. Because there is safety hazard, there are many lives that unfortunately are lost because of this job in high current places and so on. You have environmental friendliness, and that's about the capturing. It's very easy to capture if you put a vacuum cleaner in the water. Well, that wouldn't last long, but basically you just put the pump. It's easy to capture. But it's very difficult to get efficient capturing of all the waste and clean efficiently. Because imagine a ship is like a football course, so you have to cover quite a lot of cleaning. But then the third element that is the difference is the way it is towards the surface. So if you have brushes, but also traditional high pressure is used for cutting steel. Then you make micro scratches in a whole football course, and that means that it grows again so much faster. So basically, you're actually destroying the paint. What happens to the paint? They're taking out more and more poison. We're going to see in the future coatings without poison. That's just the way it goes. Then it's very important that you don't make stripes into the surface. So those 3 things that we are building upon, and which are challenges to overcome: efficiency, high efficiency, gentleness to the paint, but not the least that you manage to capture, and not capture semi-solutions like you have already, but capture all the waste that comes. Otherwise, you have alien invasive species spreading all around, and all the challenges that come with that.
So then I can go ahead a little bit further. What I understand, this is a completely new technology, because with the brush guard system, you are a kind of slave, because the moment you perform this, it's obvious that the life cycle is shortening, and you have to do it and again, do it and again. So in your case, you don't destroy the hull, the painting, and the interval is still existing for the protection of the hull against the marine growth underneath.
Yes, and the aspect that I did not, or I briefly mentioned it, but what is also driving change here is the regulatory. So this is this is all, I think, the most important position from the regulatory. So what happened since 2008, that already in 2011, half of the ports in the world had prohibited traditional cleaning with brush cards and so on because of the environmental concerns. And all this comes back to us, me and you, end users. We see now that our planet is scarce, and we need to react. Otherwise, we are actually wasting the future of the coming generations. And then we start to demand from the port, you cannot just pollute our port. Then it goes back to the legislators. And here it was the IMO who did the job and put this on the agenda. And therefore, what we see now with the first movers like Carnival and Wallenius Wilhelmsen, yes, they are paying a small premium today for the service. But what they're also doing is a warranty that they will have this service in 10 and 15 and 20 years, right? Because then you won't get hold of that brush cart that you were a slave for 10 years ago. So it's also the futuristic.
Thank you so much, and
Thank you.
congratulations.
Good questions.
Okay, good.
Derege? The minister had a question.
Okay.
You allow me?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I just want to say, because it's a strange microphone, but I just want to say a couple of things. Obviously, I was not here from the beginning, and I have to
You
go
need
now.
to speak more into the.
Okay,
Sorry.
I need to eat it.
There we go. Perfect.
Now, please don't take any photos and don't post them on Facebook. The first thing I would like to say is that there's no doubt that technology will progress. I remember I was in New York. There was a speech about how and the way the market will change. How Amazon, for example, they're building their own fleet, and how everybody's cutting intermediaries. So basically, this platform is all about, at the end of the day, cutting intermediaries. I think coming from the financial services world, at least when I was working in the private sector, I have to say that the success of any platform which has to do with meeting supply and demand, basically, is all about, number one, for people to feel security, that basically they can take part in this platform, and this is quite important. And this is why a lot of the stock markets all around the world are regulated. So I think we need to emphasize here the importance of regulation. So if basically you can get this thing to be regulated, I think it will definitely make the whole business more likely to succeed. So maybe you could go to IMO, to somebody or whatever association and try and get it regulated. And I think this could be the beginning of getting successful. The second thing, of course, is participation. You need to participate to convince as many participants as possible to take part of it. Number one and number two, maybe they're interconnected. So I just wanted to wish you every success. I think it's a great idea. And I think definitely shipping and ports will become much more efficient in the future. And I think it's all about cutting the intermediaries and making the markets more efficient. So I have to say that shipping and ports, they are not as efficient as they should be, and everybody knows that. But of course, as it happens with some of the efforts we've seen in the ports and the lines, we need to be careful not to mess up things. But I think regulation is definitely, having some kind of regulation will definitely build the trust for these kind of platforms and basically allow you to have more participation. So thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And of course, we're really proud to have a Cypriot who's part of this. Thank you.
That's good. Okay, I think we have the woman over there. Well, are you ready? Yeah? Okay, she's very ready. Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Right. So thank you very much for very interesting presentations. I would like to build on some previous questions. Of course, when it comes to the startups that Konstantin and Tor have kind of embarked on, I think what's important, for their, call it sustainability, I guess, is the revenue streams. So what I'm just interested in, when it comes to vessel boat, whereabout is it? Have you signed the relevant kind of key customers to start on, and the agreements, what, let's say, is it annual or longer and so on? So the question is when do you expect to have the revenue streams kind of coming? And then I guess when it comes to EcoSubsea is, what about the visibility into the future? Can you forecast, that, for example, you will have agreements and revenue streams well into 2018 or 2019, or are you being conservative? Because many players in the industry, and even the subsea, let's say, industry, oil and gas, I mean, they have lost that visibility into the revenue streams. I just wonder whether you're still calling yourself a startup because the visibility is not further enough, or whether you anticipate that you have an annual challenge maybe to kind of fight off competition or so on, so that affects the revenue streams. Thank you both.
Myself? Cool. Unfortunately, I cannot say much on the revenue side of things. Yeah?
Please.
No figures, no figures.
No. No, I'll tell you why.
You cannot be taxed here, by the way. You are not a fully resident.
We are fully commercial. We have cargo being streamed from both big companies as well as smaller. So the platform operations are fully fledged and we are fully functional. Up to today, it has been for us a period where we decided strategically that we wanted to concentrate on very specific, if you like, niches. We've been targeting ourselves those companies within those niches. So it was an inside sales, if you like, methodology used, and lots of traveling by myself. So that's where we stand in regards to commercialization, revenues being streamed through the operations, through us. Yeah, so I think more or less covers what you wanted, no?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of starts with, do you have visibility into, let's say, next year and the year after? Do you feel that you have a sustainable business?
Okay. In our world, usually in the few first years, you are never even close to break even. And that's why you usually need funding from investors. So this is something that happens for a number of reasons. One primarily is that you need to develop other functionalities to cater other segments of the market. For example, we are doing dry bulk. Tomorrow we might be doing liquid bulk, whatever. On the other side, you need to extensively market what you have already built. So you need an extensive marketing spend, which means that you initially need to reinvest whatever revenues are coming into the business. So that ends up being negative cash flow, negative income statement-wise. So yeah, for at least 3 to 4 years, we don't expect to be not even close to break even. And that's why we are trying to raise a substantial amount of money to subsidize the cash flow. Okay?
I think it's a very good question, and I just want to follow up on what you were saying, because it is a good friend of mine. He said, probably a quote from somewhere else, but he said it takes 10 years to make overnight success. So we've been working off 9.5. And we've actually invested heavily until this point. So this is the first year where we actually go break even and actually earning a little money. And it's definitely our business model is profitable. And I think that's where you need to start, with those environmental innovations that are actually also sustainable. You don't need to put money in it. But looking into the future, we could now settle and say, okay, it will be a small family company and so on. Yeah. Are we going to do that? Not at all. Not at all. Because if I put on the big glasses, I think that the technologies that's going to arise now with sensor technology, now with 5G coming, the internet, so you can connect everything, I believe that you will not think a ship like you think today. So you have ship and all kinds of stuff that you're doing. You will think a ship throughout its lifetime. And then you will have multiple services that just makes itself, connects to it. And that is where we hope to be our actor. Now first, with the low-hanging fruit of doing the service that we now have been working out, but then to add on additional services so we can add more and more value to the end customer and more sustainability. Because that's where I think that the world is moving. So the next innovation with our shipping is going to be in a lot of areas. Mm-hmm. It will first hit where the biggest cost is. Mm-hmm. So that is fuel, for example. Then it will hit where the regulations come, which I think is fantastic opportunities for all of you here to think of where are the regulations come. When a new one comes, don't be afraid. Just think, okay, perhaps you can solve that. But then it's going to be a few providers that's going to deliver a whole range of services that gives a lot of value, and you will have the asset that is just something that works for a very long time. So that is the long pictures that we are working against. We are now very focused on the thing in order to get it to give back to the investors who've been following us for 9 years now, but we have very ambitious plans ahead, and we are very much willing to invest like you just mentioned, because we see, and I think many entrepreneurs does as well, we are not working for the profits of tomorrow, we are working for the future needs. We are not working for an investment in one we're gonna sell in 3. Now that's boring. Well, okay, so you're 100 years on Earth and then you got a 0 more or 2 on your bank account. But if you can be part in creating exciting jobs, making the world a little bit greener, and solving cool problems, then I think at least you have a fun life doing it.
And make a good profit for it.
As well.
You need, yeah. But I think the profit point is just necessary. Yeah. I mean, that just needs
to be fun. In order to be fun.
In order to sustain. So that is just a given. But I don't think that, at least the way I experience it so far, you're meeting so much uphill climbing that you would need some further purpose. The profitability is just given.
But you see, that's why my question was not about the profit.
Yeah.
It was about revenue.
Revenues.
Because
Yeah.
every single euro or dollar or krona is difficult to earn. you know? Like,
Yeah.
and the visibility into earning it is difficult.
But therefore, I think...
It's the revenue that is the catch.
Yeah, but I think therefore it's important also that you have very qualified people who are vetting new technologies, new solutions that are coming, so that you both can give government grants, which we've been favored with a lot, and that you also have stakeholders who dare to put it through their organization, even though they don't earn on it. Because as you very correctly point, you will not get profit at day one. And Tesla, they're worth nothing today, basically. They're minus, minus, minus. Do not ever buy a share in Tesla if you're evaluating from their today's production. But we have more and more now. We're taking in over ourselves that, holy smoke, our planet is filled up. The resources are scarce. We need to act. And I think that that is a frightening thing. But for all of you and us who are in shipping then, well, we don't need to go to Mars because we have not explored 95% of the ocean. And that's where all of you are experts, shipping. We are on the ocean. So if we can then take these opportunities down, make more energy efficient solutions, make food on the ocean, use it, whereas before today we've just been moving assets, but see all the different add-ons that we can do, we can have a very cool future, I think.
Good, very good. Okay, I think we have time for at least one or two more questions before we have to round off. There's one all the way in the back as well. You'll get the ball after. Yes? Go ahead.
Hi. I just want to make a quick comment, not a
Yes.
question. Further to your comment on digitalization and the future of shipping operating model. I just wanted to note that digitalization doesn't mean necessarily making digital a current process, a process that we currently do, just making it digital. You will learn there is going to be some cost saving, save some man hours, but this is not what we are looking for. Digitalization is, as you correctly said, is that creating a new culture, a digital culture. It's not just making digital what we are doing. And three things that we need to keep in mind is that, first of all, you cannot do that if top management, if the principals, if the owners don't believe in that. So stop dreaming about it if the owner doesn't want it. Second is that it's not an IT project. It's concerning the whole company. It's not assign it to the IT manager and he will deliver, he will give you a new software, a new ERP system, and that's it. And third, it's an ongoing process. It's a lengthy process. It's not just a month, 2 months, 6 months. I read somewhere that you cannot put 9 women to deliver a baby in 1 month. Like, it takes time. It needs 9 months. It takes time. So that was my 3 points that I wanted to share with you.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
very much.
absolutely right, by the way. You're absolutely right. And the sales cycles are huge, by the way, for the same reasons that you're referring to. So.
Would you like to wave again?
It's a quick
Perfect.
throw.
I cannot throw there.
It's a long throw.
Yeah, it's a good throw. Come on.
Yeah.
No, I can, but can you catch it?
Volleyball style.
Yeah. We're going to do that afterwards.
I think Stephen just wanted to try the mic. Doesn't really
This
have.
is very, this is a very
works.
cool microphone, by the way. Wow. Hi, my name's Stephen Caligaris. This was a question to the whole panel. And what I wanted to know is not obstacles, but how did you feel, or what was the general consensus of embracing technology, let's say ship owners, managers? How do you see them embracing technology? Because let's say in the previous 10 years, there's been a lot of closed doors, a lot of, let's say fear in the market, as they say. Your opinion, your experiences for the ship owners embracing technology, how do you think they
Shall I go first?
embrace that?
Okay, thank you. I think that goes to the beginning of the discussion, is with all the changes, if we are going to lead the technology or being led by it. And I can say that up to now, ship owners especially and ship managers have been more on the responsive mode instead of proactively positioning themselves in the way to capture the needs in the 5 years' time, in the 10 years' time. It's just more or less to utilize technology in a way, to some extent, not to a full extent, to just solve some problems, solve them a bit quicker, maybe create some more opportunities, etc. I am, let's say, pleased to see that at least technology is being used to one aspect of ship management, for example, which is the reporting tool. We see that there is a lot of companies investing that to have cloud-based systems to allow real-time information for their staff, for their owners, etc. But that's mostly on the responding to the needs and also gaining a small competitive advantage over competition, etc. There's so much more that could be done to position themselves to, let's say, solve problems from now or create real competitive advantages, sustainable competitive advantage in their market. And so I think there is a tremendous room for improvement in the sector.
Perhaps from Mr. Tor, Mr. Constantino, sorry.
Yeah, look, as far as I'm concerned, the fact that we are lagging significantly in regards to other markets and even similar markets that are quite asset intensive, like the aviation industry, shows that we have a lot of work to do in our own house. Yeah? Definitely, there are aspects where we have done some improvements, but not the major improvements done in other similar industries. So I would expect the industry to shift gear, if you like, and move much faster, implementing technology and realizing the changes that might be coming towards the industry's way in regards to digitalization. And as a result, I would expect in the next couple of years, 3 years, major shifts, technological shifts in the industry.
Thank you.
Tu, would you like to?
Yeah, I can elaborate a little bit on that. I think today it's very easy to qualify digitalization, artificial intelligence, and cyber and all this as a threat that comes. But I think if you just look 15 years ago, you did not see Facebook. If you look at Back to the Future, you could see flying cars, but you didn't envision the internet. But are you guys happy for the internet? Any no's? Yeah. Are you guys happy for the iPhone? Yes, and I think that's the way it's going to be. That those who are forward-lent, all the challenges or all the changes that's going to come now is going to be positive for every forward-leaning ship owner and everybody in the market if you manage to take it. So I think that even though we lag behind, there are natural reasons for that with the internet and so on. But I think for those who then see bright on the future and are willing to invest in new innovation and new solutions, this will just increase the value propositions for everybody involved, like the iPhone has done, like the internet has done, and like the new bits and pieces that's going to come in that we even can't see today.
If I may add something here. Yesterday, again, quoting yesterday, discussion, but it's relevant, it's quite relevant. We were discussing with Tor about, I don't know whether you've seen those earpieces that Google recently launched with real-time translation. So there is information being streamed from any place, I don't know where, and you get direct translation. And we were discussing, and Tor was saying, look, I'm not sure whether I would use it. And I go, yeah, but usually if we don't start using technology, it never grows, it never matures. Because with the more uptake there is in the market, the products, the software, whatever the assets, whatever that we are developing, matures and become better and better. And the growth cycle of how good the product is and of the quality is exponential. So the more participants in the market, stakeholders, engage with technology, the more benefits they will be reaping from technology. So the key message here is that, yeah, someone might not have the perfect technology today, but 6 months down the road, it might be 50 times better than what today is, and 150 times in another 6 months. So the progress in such products is exponential. So, yeah.
Please consume.
with responsibility.
Okay, good.
sustainability.
Thank you. Do we have a final question from the audience? Anyone?
There are a couple of ladies there.
There we go. Okay, ready? Okay, there we go.
It doesn't break, don't worry, we tested it before.
I don't want to keep you longer, but I just really, really have the need to say my opinion about technology. You know, technology is a beautiful thing, and congratulations to both of you. What you're doing is admirable. However, even in business, I've noticed older people saying a lot of times that ever since email and these messengers came up and you know, technology became such a norm in business, they've lost the quality of personal human contact. And all the older business people, they insist that nothing can ever replace that. And no matter how great technology is, first and foremost, we're in business, but we're people first. And I just hope that we don't end up behind the screens doing everything digitally. I just hope that we can preserve human contact and human relationships as much as possible forever and ever.
Thank you. As a broker, that's music to my ears. Do you have a comment, any of you guys?
Actually, I have two comments. First of all, is that we are past that point that we can prevent it from coming. It's inevitable. It's already there. It's everywhere, technology. I mean, obviously, pros, cons, etc., but it's there. Let's find ways to use it. And before going to the other guys, the idea of the subject today was not to focus only on technology.
Yeah.
It can be every other bit of a change that can change a business model. It can be regulations. It can be environmental awareness. It can be political, economical changes. It can be demographic, supply and demand changes. So major changes that we see that there is, let's say, change of the trends that they let's say, control the market. Technology is most relevant because it's the biggest and brightest example in what we are having right now. But it should be looked in a wider, let's say, context and point of view. But please do on technology.
But if I may add, why would you necessarily, because that's the assumption we're making. By default, we're saying if there is technology, we lose personal contact. Believe me, with our clients, I go and meet them in Singapore or Geneva or Brazil, I don't know. I mean, they know me, I know them, we talk on the phone, we discuss via email, we do everything in a socially interactive way as you do today. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you lose contact. And as I mentioned, in our business model at least, we engage human interaction as well as we have people on board who are facilitators to the whole transaction. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you, in every way, when technology is launched, you lose every personal interaction or human interaction, if you like.
I want to jump again, sorry, because one fantastic video that I was looking yesterday basically was highlighting on this, on how, okay, everything will be smart, robotics, etc., etc., etc. Machine can replicate everything, but what machines cannot do at the end of the day is replicate emotions, ethics, creativity, and aspects like this that what makes us human, which at the very end, which if we manage to take it up to the end, the maximum that technology can offer, can still not replicate these things which are most precious to our daily lives, either we realize or not. So I think in that aspect, that is safeguarded because it cannot be replicated.
Yeah,
On the same full notion to it.
and I think it's a very good thing to point out, because it is very important that we take that thought with us through the transition that we are seeing. But imagine just our grandparents, how few people they likely knew in their life, and see what happens today, where you have LinkedIn, Facebook. You're connecting with so many people. And it's not enough with the words you're writing. You have to make your picture there. We are now using emojis all the time with a smiley face. So we try to, I think that the world really, number one, we are actually interacting with much more. And these are just tools that helps us. And the second is that if we have a focus on it, we will, in a way, find ways where we interact with, you see, FaceTime, you actually get the opportunity to personalize even more meetings because you're not sitting on a ship like they did on my island for one whole day, and then they went to Bergen and shopped, and then they took the ship all the way back. But you can actually, then you can talk to 5 friends in Cyprus on that way. And another aspect which I think is very interesting is we need to be aware of this, but looking at the flip side, at the education system today. So let's take an hour on that now. No, but where we today have an elephant and a monkey, and first man to the top. And really what we do is one size fits nobody. But imagine if we can use the digital tools to actually meet those kids when they are 5 and 6 and 7 years. And those who are then very creative, they can actually escalate amazingly within that field. Those who love math, they can escalate further than just no, you're in grade 2, so that's your place. So I think that on one side, it is a very important, it is a threat to socializing. But I believe that if we then choose the right people to take it forward, not only driven by capitalism, then I think that they will create a warmer society, a more tight society that makes us not then overuse in Norway or in Cyprus, because we also know Ashfaq, who sits in India, and we are much more connected. So it also will give us so much more care for much more than what we did before. So I think an important threat to be aware of, but if we manage to take it forward, it will actually enrich all of us, the new tools that are coming.
It's a leverage, basically. You can use it in your favor rather than just thinking of potential negatives.
Good. Happy? Kind of? It's different.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
You're right.
Yeah.
Eppe, do you want? No?
Yeah, the point was that Facebook can never exchange the real friendship. But I think that's where we are going, right? Because early Facebook would just write your name and a picture. But I think that if we focus on it, it is a real problem. If we focus on it, not only Facebook, but all these tools hopefully will put us more together. And we will care more for each other because we will not sit in our own country and, no, I have to work so much. Now we also think about, well, what about that guy in Nepal that has to work 12 hours every day? And so it opens up other, but we need to be aware of it. Otherwise, it's our opportunity will slip.
If you allow me, even Facebook, yeah. Let's say everything is bad, for granted, but there are certain aspects of it that you can say that they are good and they are offering something, okay? I'll give you an example. When there were terrorist attacks and someone could post that he was safe and his family or friends or whomever could see that he was safe, that was a good service offering, whatever you might call it, from a digital media, which I totally agree with you, has nothing to do with human interaction and us two going out for a beer, for example. It's not the same thing. But definitely there are aspects of it that are offering something and they have a value proposition. So we shouldn't be rejecting everything because they have a bad aspect of it. You have just to address it and find ways to reduce the negative aspects of.
Good. Okay, I think we're actually going to have to stop there. We've gone a little bit past our time, but it's good to see that there's an active audience with us. Thank you all to the 3 panelists. Let's give them a big round of applause. I'm not going to do a big summary. What I hope is that you've all at least learned something and you can leave this room with new ideas and some food for thought. And of course, mingle, talk to each other. You never know where the next business opportunity might come from, but remember the human element, which is also very important.